$2,000 a month. That's what a lot of people have to work with. Maybe it's a social security check. Maybe it's a pension. Maybe it's a remote job that pays modestly but gives you the freedom to live wherever you want. Whatever the source, $2,000 a month is the number. And most people hear that number and immediately cross Florida off the list. Because Florida is Miami. Florida is Naples. Florida is beachfront condos and spring break hotels and HOA fees that cost more than some people's rent. And yeah, those places exist. But Florida is also 65,000 square miles of land. It's the third most populated state in the country. And tucked between the tourist traps and the luxury developments are towns where $2,000 a month doesn't just cover your bills. It gives you an actual life, a decent roof, food on the table, gas in the car, and still a little left over at the end of the month. These are 10 of those towns. Not theoretical. Not if you eat ramen every night and never turn on the air conditioning. These are real places where real people are living on modest budgets right now in 2026. And the honest truth is, some of them might surprise you. But before we get into the list, let's talk about why Florida specifically. Because this isn't just about cheap rent. Florida has no state income tax. Zero. That means your Social Security isn't taxed at the state level, your pension isn't taxed, your 401 withdrawals, your IRA distributions, none of it. The state constitution actually prohibits a personal income tax. For someone living on $2,000 a month, that's not a small thing. In a state like California or New York, you'd be handing a chunk of that back to the state before you even paid rent. In Florida, every dollar you earn is a dollar you keep at the state level. On top of that, Florida's average effective property tax rate sits around 0.78%, which is below the national average. And if you're 65 or older and you qualify, there are additional homestead exemptions that can knock up to $50,000 off your home's taxable value. Some counties even let qualifying seniors exempt the entire value of their home from property taxes. The tax structure alone makes Florida one of the most retirement-friendly states in the country. Now let's talk about where to actually live. 1. Lake City. Lake City sits at the intersection of Interstate 75 and Interstate 10 in north-central Florida, population right around 12,000. If you've driven through Florida on your way to somewhere else, you may have passed through Lake City without giving it a second thought. That's part of what makes it affordable. It's not a destination, it's a crossroads, and crossroads towns in Florida tend to keep their prices honest. The cost of living in Lake City runs roughly 15 to 19% below the national average, depending on which index you use. Average rent for a one-bedroom apartment hovers around $930 to $940 a month. A two-bedroom runs close to $990. Median home values sit around $133,000 to $140,000, which in Florida in 2026 is almost unheard of. You can buy a house here for what a parking space costs in Miami. Now, what does life look like on $2,000 a month in Lake City? Rent takes about $940. Utilities in Florida run around $150 to $180 a month for a modest apartment with air conditioning. Groceries for one person, call it $300 to $350. Car insurance, gas and basic transportation, another $250 to that puts you somewhere around $1,650 to $1,770 for essential costs. You've got breathing room, not luxury, but breathing room. Enough for a phone bill, the occasional dinner out, and maybe setting a little aside for emergencies. Lake City is surrounded by natural springs and state parks. Ichtuckney Springs is nearby, one of the most beautiful spring-fed rivers in Florida. You've got access to the Osceola National Forest. It's outdoor Florida at its most genuine. The job market is modest. This isn't a booming metro. The biggest employers are the local hospital, the school district, and some logistics companies that take advantage of the interstate access. But if you're retired or working remotely, the job market matters less than the cost of keeping a roof over your head. And on that front, Lake City delivers. The city's nickname is Gateway to Florida. And that's fitting. You're about an hour from Gainesville, an hour and a half from Jacksonville, close enough to reach bigger city amenities when you need them, far enough away to avoid paying big city prices every day. 2. Palatka. Palatka is in Putnam County, about an hour south of Jacksonville, sitting right along the St. Johns River. Population around 10,500. This is old Florida. Not the Disney version, not the Instagram version. The actual, lived-in, been here for generations version. Palatka was founded before the Civil War. The downtown still has the bones of a 19th century river town. The cost of living here is roughly 18 to 20% below the national average. It's one of the least expensive places to live, not just in Florida, but in the entire southeastern United States. Median home prices sit well below the state average, often around $170,000 to $200,000 depending on the source. Rents for a one-bedroom start well under $1,000. The total monthly cost for a single person, covering housing, food, energy, and transportation, comes in around $2,000 to $2,100. That means if your budget is $2,000 a month, you're right at the line. It's tight, but it works if you're careful. And if you own your home outright or have any supplemental income at all, Palatka becomes genuinely comfortable. What Palatka has going for it beyond the price tag is character. The St. Johns River is one of the few north-flowing rivers in the country. Manatees cruise through. The sunsets over the water are legitimately beautiful. Ravine Gardens State Park is right in town, a Works Progress Administration-era park built into a natural ravine with azalea gardens that bloom every spring. The city hosts the Florida Azalea Festival and the Blue Crab Festival, both of which draw visitors from across the region. The trade-off is that Palatka is a small town with small-town limitations. The job market is modest. Healthcare options are limited compared to Jacksonville or Gainesville, and some parts of the town show the wear of decades of economic challenges. Putnam County is one of the poorer counties in Florida, and that's reflected in the infrastructure. But for someone on a fixed income who doesn't need to commute to a job and values quiet, affordable rivertown living, Palatka is hard to beat on paper. 3. Sebring. Sebring is in Highlands County, right in the center of the state. Population around 11,000. The city calls itself the City on the Circle, a reference to Circle Drive, the center of its historic downtown district. If you follow motorsport at all, you know Sebring for the 12 hours of Sebring endurance race at the Sebring International Raceway. But outside of race week, this is a quiet, slow-paced Florida town surrounded by lakes and citrus groves. The cost of living index in Sebring sits around 87 to 88, meaning it's roughly 12 to 13% cheaper than the national average. Average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is around $880 to $975. Median home values are in the range of $200,000 to $240,000. Those numbers have dipped slightly in the past year, making it a buyer's market for anyone looking to purchase rather than rent. For a $2,000 a month budget, Sebring works comfortably. Rent at $900, utilities around $150, groceries at $300, transportation at $250. You're looking at around $1,600 in fixed monthly costs, leaving $400 for everything else. That's a cushion most people on a fixed income don't get in Florida. Sebring is a retirement magnet, and it's designed that way. The town is walkable by Florida standards. There are golf courses, fishing lakes, and a downtown with local restaurants and shops that cater to an older population. Healthcare is decent for a town this size, with Advent Health Sebring serving as the regional hospital. You're about an hour and a half from Tampa and roughly 2 hours from Orlando, close enough for a day trip when you need the big city, but far enough that the cost of living stays grounded. The landscape is classic inland Florida, flat, green, dotted with lakes. If you need the beach, you're looking at a solid 90-minute drive to either coast. That's the trade-off. Sebring gives you the numbers. What it doesn't give you is ocean access. For a lot of people on $2,000 a month, that's a trade-off worth making. 4. Dade City. Dade City is the county seat of Pasco County, about 45 minutes north of Tampa. Population around 7,500. It's small, genuinely small. The kind of place where the downtown still has a courthouse square and people wave at you from their porches. And it's one of the cheapest places to rent in the entire state of Florida. Average rents in Dade City come in under $1,000 across all apartment types. The cost of living is roughly 11% below the national average. Groceries are cheaper here than in most Florida metros. Healthcare costs are below the national average. And because you're in Pasco County, you have access to the broader Tampa Bay area infrastructure without paying Tampa Bay prices. On $2,000 a month, Dade City is one of the most comfortable options on this list. Rent at $900 or less, utilities around $140, food at $280 to $320, transportation at $200 to $250, since things are relatively close. You're landing around $1,500 to $1,600 in monthly essentials, giving you $400 to $500 in discretionary spending. That's groceries and gas and still enough left over to have an actual social life. Dade City is known for the Kumquat Festival, which is exactly what it sounds like, and for its proximity to some of Florida's best nature areas. The Withlacoochee State Forest is nearby. Green Swamp is to the east. The countryside around Dade City is rolling hills and horse farms, which is not what most people picture when they think of Florida. It looks more like the Carolinas than it does Miami. The practical advantage of Dade City is Tampa. You're close enough to drive in for specialized healthcare, airport access, major shopping, and entertainment. But your rent is half of what it would be in Tampa proper. That proximity math is what makes Dade City work. You get Tampa's resources at Dade City's prices. The downside is that public transit is basically non-existent. You need a car. If you don't have one, this town gets a lot harder. 5. Bartow. Bartow is in Polk County, sitting between Tampa and Orlando, along the Interstate 4 corridor. Population around 20,000. It's the county seat, which means it has a courthouse, government offices, and a small-town civic infrastructure that gives it a stability a lot of tiny Florida towns lack. Bartow's cost of living is about 8 to 11% below the national average. Rents start around $1,050. Median home prices sit near $245,000, which is well below the state average. The overall cost of housing in Bartow is significantly cheaper than in both Tampa and Orlando, even though you're within reasonable commuting distance of both. For the $2,000 a month budget, Bartow works like this. Rent at around $1,050, that's a bit higher than some of the other towns on this list, so the math gets tighter. Utilities at $150, groceries at $300, transportation at $250. You're at roughly $1,750 to $1,800, leaving $200 to $250 for discretionary expenses. It's doable, but you're working with less margin than in Lake City or Sebring. What Bartow gives you in exchange for that tighter budget is location. You're 30 minutes from Lakeland, 50 minutes from Tampa, and about an hour from Orlando. If you work remotely but occasionally need to meet clients in a big city, or if you have family in the Tampa-Orlando corridor, Bartow puts you in striking distance of everything without paying corridor prices. The town itself has a nostalgic quality. The downtown has been through revitalization efforts. There are local shops, a few good restaurants, and a sense of community that the bigger cities in the area lost a long time ago. Polk County has a solid park system. Local farmers markets keep food costs down if you're willing to shop seasonally. Bartow's identity is that it's the affordable middle ground in the most expensive stretch of Central Florida. It doesn't have the glamour or the beach access. It doesn't have the nightlife. What it has is math that works. 6. Ocala. Ocala is in Marion County, about 80 miles northwest of Orlando. Population around 65,000, making it the largest city on this list by a comfortable margin. This is horse country. Ocala is one of 5 cities in the world designated as an international center for thoroughbred breeding. The rolling pastures, white fences, and oak canopy roads around Ocala look like Kentucky, not Florida. The cost of living in Ocala runs about 7 to 10% below the national average. Average rents sit around $1,100 to $200 for a one-bedroom. Median home prices are approximately $250,000 to $275,000. It's not the cheapest town on this list, but for what you get, a mid-sized city with real amenities, it's an exceptional value. On $2,000 a month, Ocala requires careful budgeting. Rent at $1,100 to $1,150, utilities around $160, groceries at $320, transportation at $250. You're at roughly $1,830. That leaves $120 to $170 for discretionary spending. Tight, but possible. And if you can find housing on the lower end of the market, whether a smaller apartment, a shared living situation, or a mobile home in one of the area's parks, the numbers get more comfortable fast. What makes Ocala worth the tighter budget is that it functions like a real city. You have multiple hospital systems, you have a community college, you have shopping centers, restaurants, cultural venues, and a developed infrastructure that the smaller towns on this list simply don't have. Silver Springs State Park is minutes away, one of the most beautiful natural attractions in the state. The Rainbow River is a short drive. If you love the outdoors, Ocala is surrounded by it. Ocala also benefits from being on the I-75 corridor. You can get to Gainesville in 45 minutes, Tampa in about 90. The city has been growing, which brings new jobs and services, but hasn't yet hit the prices that growth usually brings. That window is closing. Marion County is one of the fastest growing counties in Florida. The affordability that exists today may not exist in 5 years. If Ocala is on your radar, sooner is better than later. 7. Lakeland. Lakeland sits right on Interstate 4 between Tampa and Orlando. Population around 115,000. This is a city that's been on the Affordable Florida lists for years, and for good reason. It's the largest metro area on this list, the one with the most infrastructure, and one of the best values in all of Central Florida for what it offers relative to what it costs. The cost of living in Lakeland is roughly 13% below the national average and about 17% below the Florida average. That second number matters because it means Lakeland is cheap, even by Florida standards. Rents for a one-bedroom average around $1,100 to $1,200. Median home prices are in the neighborhood of $280,000. On $2,000 a month, Lakeland is similar to Ocala. You can make it work, but there's not a lot of room for error. Rent at $1,100 to $1,150. Utilities at $160, groceries at $320. Total essentials land around $1,840 to $1,890. That leaves $110 to $160 for everything else. It's a budget that requires discipline. But here's what makes Lakeland worth the discipline. This is Publix headquarters. The supermarket chain employs thousands of people in the area and anchors the local economy. There's a functioning downtown with art galleries, restaurants, and shops. Florida Polytechnic University is here. The Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo draws visitors from around the world every spring. And the city has 38 named lakes within its limits. Lake Morton, right downtown, still has a flock of royal swans descended from a pair gifted by Queen Elizabeth II. You can walk around the lake on a 3.5-mile loop and watch swans glide past while joggers and dog walkers circle past. Lakeland's positioning is its power move. Tampa is 35 minutes west. Orlando is 50 minutes east. You have access to 2 international airports, 2 major healthcare systems, and 2 sprawling metro economies, all while living in a city where the cost of entry is dramatically lower than either. For someone on a tight budget who still needs occasional access to big city services, Lakeland is arguably the best positioned town on this entire list. 8. Deltona. Deltona is in Volusia County, about 25 miles southwest of Daytona Beach and 35 miles northeast of Orlando. Population around 95,000. It's a planned community originally developed in the 1960s, and it's grown into one of the largest cities in the Daytona Beach metro area. Deltona's cost of living is roughly 18% below the Florida average, making it one of the cheapest cities of its size in the state. Rents for a one-bedroom in Deltona average around $1,000 to $1,100. Median home prices sit near $310,000 to $326,000, which has actually come down slightly in the past year as Florida's housing market cools. The housing cost index in Deltona runs at about 78% of the national average, which is a significant discount for a city this close to both Orlando and the coast. On $2,000 a month, Deltona falls in the middle of this list. Rent at $1,050, utilities at $155, transportation at $250, essentials total around $1,765. That leaves roughly $235 for discretionary spending. Workable, particularly for someone who doesn't need a car payment because they own their vehicle outright. Deltona is surrounded by more than 40 lakes. The city sits on the edge of the De Leon Springs State Park, one of the more unique parks in Florida, where you can actually cook your own pancakes on a griddle at the old Spanish sugar mill inside the park. Daytona Beach is a half-hour drive. The Kennedy Space Center is about an hour east, and Orlando, with all its theme parks, dining and medical facilities, is 35 minutes down I-4. The appeal of Deltona is the combination of size, affordability, and access. It's big enough to have its own grocery stores, doctor's offices, and community events. It's cheap enough to make a $2,000 budget viable. And it's close enough to everything in Central Florida that you never feel stuck. For families, the Volusia County school system is decent, and crime rates in Deltona run below the state average, which isn't true of every affordable Florida city. 9. Pensacola. Pensacola is as far northwest as you can get in Florida before you're basically in Alabama. Population around 55,000 in the city proper, with a metro area closer to 500,000. This is the Gulf Coast, white sand beaches that squeak when you walk on them, emerald green water, and a cost of living that is 13 to 15% below the national average, making it one of the only affordable beach-adjacent cities left in Florida. Average rents in Pensacola run around $1,100 to $2,200 for a one-bedroom. Median home values sit around $260,000 to $265,000 and have actually dipped slightly over the past year. Pensacola Beach is a 20-minute drive from downtown, which is worth noting because beachfront property is expensive everywhere, but Pensacola's city center pricing is miles away from the tourist economy on the Barrier Islands. On $2,000 a month in Pensacola, you're looking at rent around $1,100, utilities at $155, groceries at $310, transportation at $260, essentials come to about $1,825. That leaves $175 for discretionary spending. It's not luxurious, but you're living in a Gulf Coast city with legitimate beach access on a $2,000 budget. That's a combination most people don't think is possible. The economy here is anchored by the military. Naval Air Station Pensacola is one of the largest employers in the region. The Blue Angels are based here. Navy Federal Credit Union, one of the largest financial institutions in the country, has a massive campus in Pensacola. Baptist Healthcare and Ascend Performance Materials round out the major employer list. The job market has been growing, with thousands of new positions added in recent reporting periods. Pensacola's downtown has gone through a genuine revitalization. Palafox Street is lined with restaurants, bars, and local shops. The cultural scene punches above its weight for a city this size, and the outdoor life is outstanding. Big Lagoon State Park, the Gulf Islands National Seashore, kayaking in Escambia Bay, all of it is accessible without a premium price tag. The catch with Pensacola is weather risk. This is hurricane country. Pensacola gets hit regularly. The city's stormwater infrastructure is aging, and flooding is a recurring issue even in moderate storms. Insurance costs in the Florida Panhandle have been climbing, and that's a real factor for homeowners. If you're renting, it's less of a direct concern, but it affects the overall market. Renters should factor in renters' insurance and understand that a bad hurricane season can disrupt everything from power to grocery supply chains for weeks. It's the price you pay for living near the Gulf. For a lot of people on $2,000 a month, the beach access makes that trade-off worth it. Just go in with your eyes open. 10. Jacksonville. Jacksonville is the largest city by area in the contiguous United States. Over 870 square miles, population around 950,000. It's the biggest city on this list by an enormous margin, and it might seem like an odd inclusion on an affordability list, but Jacksonville consistently ranks as one of the most affordable large cities in all of Florida, and arguably in the entire country. The cost of living in Jacksonville is about 4 to 5% below the national average. That's not the dramatic discount you see in Lake City or Sebring, but for a major city with professional sports teams, an international airport, a deep healthcare system, multiple universities, and direct beach access, that kind of affordability is rare. Average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is around $1,200 to $1,445, depending on the neighborhood. Median home prices have settled around $282,000 as the market has cooled into a buyer-friendly environment in 2026. On $2,000 a month, Jacksonville requires being strategic about where you live. The city is enormous, and rents vary wildly by neighborhood. If you target the West Side, North Side, or Arlington areas, you can find one-bedrooms in the $900 to $1,100 range. That's where the math works. Rent at $1,050, utilities at $160, groceries at $330, transportation at $270. Essentials land around $1,810, leaving roughly $190 for discretionary spending. What Jacksonville gives you for that money is a fully functional major city. Mayo Clinic has a campus here. The Jaguars play at Everbank Stadium. You've got multiple beaches, including Jacksonville Beach and Atlantic Beach, accessible without a bridge or ferry. The St. Johns River cuts through the city, creating a waterfront downtown that's been going through a renaissance with new restaurants, shops, and public parks. For someone on a $2,000 budget, Jacksonville's size is actually an advantage. A bigger city means more free or low-cost things to do. More competition among grocery stores, which keeps food costs down. More healthcare providers to choose from. More social services if you need them. The library system is excellent. The parks system covers thousands of acres. The trade-off with Jacksonville is sprawl. The city is so large that you essentially need a car to live here. Public transit exists, but it's limited, and the city isn't walkable in the way some smaller towns on this list are. If you don't drive, Jacksonville becomes significantly harder. But if you do have a car, and you're looking for the affordability of a small town with the resources of a big city, Jacksonville is the only place on this list that gives you both. Final thoughts: 10 towns, 10 different versions of the same math problem. How do you build a life in Florida on $2,000 a month? The answer depends on what you value most. If it's rock bottom cost, Lake City and Palatka give you the most room in your budget. If it's beach access, Pensacola is the only game on this list. If it's big city resources, Jacksonville punches above every other option here. And if it's the sweet spot between affordability, location, and lifestyle, towns like Lakeland, Deltona, and Bartow sit right in the middle of the corridor that connects Tampa and Orlando, giving you access to both without paying either's price tag. Here's what all 10 of these places have in common. No state income tax, a property tax rate that's below the national average, no tax on Social Security or retirement income, and housing costs that are meaningfully below what you'd pay in most other states with comparable weather. Florida isn't just Miami. It isn't just Naples. It isn't just the places you see on television. Most of Florida is working-class towns, retirement communities, farming regions, and small cities where people stretch modest incomes further than you'd think possible. $2,000 a month in the right Florida town isn't just surviving. It's a life. A simple one. If you're thinking about it, don't wait for the numbers to get better. Florida's population has grown by over 1 million people since 2022. The affordable towns on this list are being discovered in real time. Prices that work today may not work in 3 years. The window is open, but it won't stay open forever. Let me know in the comments which of these towns surprised you, or if there's one you think should have made the list. And if you're already living in one of these places on a tight budget, I'd love to hear how it's actually going. The data tells one story. The lived experience always tells another.